What a night it was last night at the Wells Fargo Center. An epic comeback for the Philadelphia 76ers, taking down the Memphis Grizzlies, a team that continues to be all bark but no bite. And we're going to break that down on today's show, as well as this article from Marcus Hayes of the Philadelphia Inquirer, which stated he believes that if the Sixers do not make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, Joel Embiid will force a trade. But last night, really a spectacle. And at halftime, you thought, wow, this is the mentally fickle Philadelphia 76ers team that we've seen for the better part of 2+ decades. A big game against the Memphis Grizzlies coming out of the All-Star break, and they were completely flat against a really good Grizzlies team. But the Sixers stormed back thanks to really an awesome atmosphere at the Wells Fargo Center. It was litty in there. Kevin Harlan was in his bag. James Harden going off, especially from deep where he was basically unconscious. Tobias Harris, a much-needed performance. Tyrese Maxey making a couple of plays. Joel Embiid showing why it doesn't just mean that Nikola Jokic is atop the MVP ladder, that you have to stack up numbers offensively. Sometimes it's about what you do defensively. And how about that rim-stuffing job by Joel Embiid on Ja Morant, the awesome block there, momentum changer, and he's able to overcome that slow and sluggish start offensively to finish with 27 points, 19 rebounds, 6 dimes. Desmond Bane was going off early in this game. They held him in check, as did they do the same with Ja Morant as well, and they come through with the 110-105 victory. And I just have some thoughts that I want to get to, and then we'll get to this Joel Embiid trade request that Marcus Hayes talked about. Look, we know this by now. Sixers, one of the hottest teams in the NBA going all the way back to December. They're playing really good basketball at an impressive clip. They're a really good team, right? My biggest concern, though, with Philadelphia right now and come playoff time, it's the lack of mental toughness. No Eastern Conference Finals trips since Allen Iverson won MVP all the way back in 2001, and time again during that era of the answer, when they had a weaker roster but were still making it into the playoffs. And then after Sam Hinkie comes aboard to really tear things down, to build them back up, and they've gone on a playoff run to that second round each of the last several years, the 76ers have wilted in big games. And at halftime, you're thinking the same. Charles Barkley was calling out the Sixers saying, I don't like their lack of intestinal fortitude and their wilting in some of these big moments, but that second half performance does give you some hope moving forward that maybe, just maybe, things can be a little bit different this upcoming year, because the Sixers are certainly talented enough to compete for an NBA championship. They have the big three, in my opinion. Joel Embiid, he's my MVP, as well as the city of Philadelphia. James Harden has rebounded from what was a frustrating season last year. He's been a borderline all-NBA type of player. Tyrese Maxey is fantastic as this city's young king. The big key, obviously, is Tobias Harris, and if he can play like he did last night, that gives the Sixers a really well-rounded starting five. Their bench is pretty good. I like the toughness that P.J. Tucker brings to the table. Love DeAnthony Melton. I like George Niang. This is a good and deep team. Tobias Harris needs to step up more consistently. He needs to prove that he's not the mentally fickle player, because he struggled in some of these big playoff moments. And last night, man, you get a glimpse of how magical it can be when things are going right for this basketball team. You think about 2019, when they go up 2-1 against the Toronto Raptors and Kawhi Leonard, the place was rocking after Joel Embiid threw down that windmill slam. And then last year as well, in the first and second round, they go up and take these series advantages. Joel Embiid is playing great basketball. He hits the buzzer beater in Toronto, and the Sixers fan base is so excited that when they come home and they play good hoop, the place is electric. But unfortunately, in the biggest of moments, that's when they kind of crater a little bit. And also, side note, Kevin Harlan last night in his bag with some of those calls as the Sixers mounted that 17-point comeback. So coming up next, we'll get to Joel Embiid requesting a trade potentially. But first, if you're pumped up about that win over the Grizzlies, hopefully this can continue to be a springboard to success for Philly, and this makes them realize we're talented. We just need to get over that mental hump. Rapid fire type 76 down in the comments section. And as you go down there, please show us some love. We've been giving you some great coverage over the last couple of weeks as we've been ratcheting up our video output here. this channel coming to you from a guy who grew up loving this basketball team in Westchester, went to Temple University. I've been through the heartbreaks with you. I've been through the great moments with you. Let's continue to experience it together in this roller coaster of a ride. Subscribe today. All right, next up. Joel Embiid forcing a trade. Personally, I don't think it's going to happen because this would go against everything that he has been all about in terms of being Philadelphia's prince and the process. Marcus Hayes of the Philadelphia Inquirer thinks Embiid could force a trade if the Sixers don't make it out of the second round. First up, if you want to bet on the Sixers to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, to win the Eastern Conference, make it to the NBA Finals for Joel Embiid to win the MVP, all those bets available thanks to our great sportsbook partner, BetUS. Head to chatsports.com/bet, promo code chat125 for a 125% deposit bonus. What that means is you put in $100, you get $125 back, $225 to game with during this great NBA season that is starting to get a lot more interesting in the Eastern and Western Conference. All right, now let's get to that discussion from Marcus Hayes. Could Joel Embiid force a trade if the Sixers once again come up short when it matters the most? Here's what Hayes said, then I have some thoughts on this. Embiid, who adopted the process as a nickname, fittingly too, since like the process, he took ages to develop and remains incomplete, will surely force a trade to the franchise that actually understands basketball. He's never played with the true point guard. It's a 9-year crime. In fact, the Sixers began the process by trading the only true point guard they'd had in years, Jrue Holiday, for the pick that landed Nerlens Noel. Holiday just went to a second All-Star game and might win his second title this June. Noel is on his 5th team, and he stinks. So basically, he's talking about Embiid forcing a trade to the Miami Heat, a team that is actually a good basketball team. I have a couple of things and a couple of bones to pick with Marcus Hayes here. Jrue Holiday, when the process started, was not the player who he is now. Now, you can make the argument they gave up on him too soon, but they kind of needed to trade him away to streamline that rebuild a little bit, and he's really started to come into his own over the last couple of years, which I would say Jrue Holiday has honestly become one of, if not the best, all-around point guards in the NBA. Can score it and play first-team all-defensive type of basketball there. But also, he said he's never played with the true point guard in 9 years. Yeah, Ben Simmons could have evolved into that role, but he was too stubborn, and that's why he's a flake. As for James Harden right now, I think that he's in a stage, I should say, where he is playing true point guard type of basketball. I think the Sixers offense grows stagnant when they rely on him too much offensively. He's better playing like he is now, still aggressive, better athlete than he was last year because of, I guess, those injury issues, but also distributing the rock. As for what Yahoo Sports said about this, Joel Embiid said, to Yahoo Sports, Sixers fans, they want to trade me. And he said this a little while ago. Sorry about that confusion. I do believe that they want to trade me. This was a couple months ago, as I said. Look, all I can do is try to do my best every game. I'm grateful to be in this position because it's not an easy job. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And I think that that's where Marcus Hayes kind of was able to come up with that talking point of this article here. It's like, okay, Embiid thinks that fans want him traded, which is completely false, by the way. I'd say that Embiid has the grasp of this fan base 95-5, 90-10. I think that 90%, 95% of the fan base absolutely adores him. I mean, for me, I'm 31 years old. I've been able to grow up with Allen Iverson, rough era, and now in my adulthood, I get to watch Joel Embiid every night. It's really special. Obviously, he's failed to lift the Sixers past the second round. It's not just on him. Has he been injured? Has he had some shortcomings in the playoffs? For sure. But for Embiid to say that, I feel like he was just kind of messing around a little bit and a little bit sarcastic. The fan base does not want him traded. I also don't think that Embiid, if the Sixers don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, is going to request a trade. But can you imagine what could happen if James Harden were to leave for the Houston Rockets and Embiid were to force a trade? What would happen with this basketball team? Something to ponder here in the future. Is the process coming to an end? Trust the process. Y for yes, N for no. Let us know once more, and shout out Sam Hinkie. The bottom line here with everything that we're talking about on today's show, the bottom line with this Sixers team, I want to share these thoughts before we get on out of here. I love what I saw against the Grizzlies. The adjustments, the mental toughness, The team in Doc Rivers, though, must display more of that, more consistently, playoff savviness when the big dance does come around. Last night, though, was certainly a good start. My final thoughts there. Enjoy your weekends. Appreciate all of you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe here.